For this topic, for body image part 2, I know I've covered some of the stuff in part 1 in the beginning of all these talks in regards to what is a positive body image, what is a negative body image. All right, so now since I've covered some of that stuff already, now I want to kind of go into reiterating some of that. That leads us into how do we accept who we are and what we have, and how can we expound upon that to remain healthy and be healthy. Okay, so a lot of it is, as I've said in the past, it's subjective. Okay, so it's a subjective picture of your mental image of your own body. So how you see yourself is going to be different than how someone else sees you. It's always like that for each individual. Okay, now what is healthy or unhealthy? It is going to be dependent upon your own perspective. Okay, so if you have a healthy body image, you're going to be having a feeling of relaxation. You're going to feel comfortable. You're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel like you're accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Okay, when people have a negative body image, they tend to be unhealthy thoughts, negative thoughts about themselves. They're always thinking that they could be better, or they can be thinner, or they should be like this person or that person. Okay, it doesn't work that way. We're all unique individuals, so we have to appreciate what we each have versus trying to be a comparison to somebody else out here, because obviously it's not going to work. All right, it's one of the things I always say about some of this stuff is, especially when I'm working with some of the students, there is only one you. That's it. You're not going to be this person or this person over here. Instead, you're going to be you. That's it. Let's make you the best you can be. So how can we make you happy and appreciate what you're able to do? So that's what, getting from an unhealthy thought process into a healthy thought process. Now, as I've covered in the past, why do we feel unhealthy? Multitude of reasons. Number one, what do we see in the media on a regular basis? All right, we see unrealistic expectations. All right, we're not competitive athletes at this point in time. Even when we were competitive athletes, you were still your own person. Okay, so what the media presents isn't going to really exist for each individual unless you have the genetics to be that way. All right, what the fashion industry shows. I can't tell you how many times, they design clothing. And men and women, it doesn't matter whether it's for women, but men have the same issue as far as trying to find clothing that fit. They have a certain mind, certain body type in mind when they're designing clothing. That's it. Tall, lean. Okay, if you're anything outside of that, like if you're under, for women, if you're under 5'7", forget it. For men, if you're under a certain height or over a certain height, forget it. Trying to find clothing to fit doesn't work. All right, so then it's just trying to find the right look then at that point. That's going to work for your body. Comparing yourself to other people. We're always guilty of comparing, wishful thinking. I wish I could look like that. Or you see someone walking down the hall. I wish I could be that way. Or you see something in the media. I wish I could be like that. So you're comparing what you have to what somebody else has. All right, I'm not going to say you're comparing what you don't have to what somebody else has. You're comparing what you have to what somebody else has. All right, because we all have certain assets that make us who we are. All right, what we eat on a regular basis, that's something that we do control. Exercise, we do control. And in some cases, we hear comments from other people. Sometimes you're standing around, you hear some people chattering off to the side. Oh, look what the outfit she's wearing today. Or look at the outfit that person has on today. Stuff like that. If someone can hear that, think of what that's doing to their self-esteem. Thinking what that's doing to degrade their body image a bit. You're bringing them down here versus bringing them up here when they're hearing some of these comments. All right, I'm always saying, and we hear this all the time. I know I hear it all the time up in the fitness center of people, well, that's not something I would want to wear. Well, that's fine. You don't need to wear that. You got to wear what's comfortable for you to work out effectively. All right, so what some people wear, they have the confidence to pull it off. Great. Let's keep building that confidence up in everybody else. So that way they feel comfortable moving. They feel comfortable doing something. Main factors in body image, as I've said before, how you see yourself, this is perceptual. All right, so what you see is going to be different than what I may see each of you as, or what each of you sees each other as. All right, so instead of trying to see yourself and comparing yourself to somebody else, see yourself for who you are. And I was talking about this with Elaine Whalen the other day about doing this type of talk. And she brought up a great point. She said, you know, when it comes to something like this, how you see yourself, do a 60-day challenge. All right, so if anybody's taking her class, she'll do something like this, especially in her women's health. Okay, she does this. 60 days. You find one flaw that you think you have, and you change your thought process on that flaw. So one thing that she used was how some people perceive their nose or chin. They look in a mirror and say, okay, I like my nose. I like my nose every single day for the next 60 days. Over time, like usually after the first month, you start to change your thought process of appreciating what you have. All right, so this has been a tried and true experiment over time. It takes time, yes, but then you're rewiring your thought process and how you think about yourself. So anytime you're thinking bad about something, look in a mirror and find something positive. I like this. I like this. And have it the same thing over and over. And then once you like that, find the next piece in your body. I like this. This is what I'm proud of. You know, so that way you're building yourself up and realizing what now you're starting to see yourself the way others may see you. The way you feel about yourself. Are you satisfied or dissatisfied? If you're dissatisfied, why? What is the reason behind that dissatisfaction? Is it brought on by yourself? Is it brought on by comments from others? If it's brought on by comments from others, why are we listening to the chatter that's going on over here versus thinking about what we need to think about here? All right? The way you think about yourself can lead to a preoccupation of yourself. So what that means is if you have this negative thought process of yourself, you're constantly going to be preoccupied about that one aspect of yourself. When you start having that, then you're thinking, you're always looking around, okay, you know, this is what I want, or I want this instead, or I want this instead. Rather than having all that, realize we're all amazing what we can do at times. We got to figure out what we enjoy the most and then expound upon that. You know, some people are great at helping other people out. How can we have that work amongst society in that respect then? All right, behaviors in which you engage in. Some of the things that you'll see when people who have a negative body image, negative thought process, they're going to isolate themselves when they're having that negative thoughts. All right, so they're going to isolate themselves from anybody else. They're going to be the type that's going to find an excuse to not go out to dinner with you because they feel bad about themselves at that moment. They're going to be the type that's going to sit in their little cubicle in the office and not want to be seen eating what they're eating because they're feeling bad. All right, that's not what we want. We want to see people being appreciative. All right, so when we have all these different little events and little buffets and stuff like that going on, come on in, you know, things like that, what we're seeing then is this preoccupation when you see some people just kind of like, nope, I don't want to be seen eating this, or I don't want to be seen eating this. So that's one of the things there is, you know, what you eat and how you feel about yourself are interrelated. All right, sometimes I'll be the one to first admit, yeah, I do go and have some chocolate from time to time. But you know what? I'm the first to admit, I'm human. All right, or I'll have, you know, something that's, you know, just the taste of something. It's because of being a human being. I'm not going to deny something just because. All right, so it's everything in moderation. Appreciate yourself in that respect. Now, who is affected more by negative body image? As I've said before, commonly thought that women are more concerned about body image than men. That's true, it's just that women are more vocal about it. Men are not as vocal. Men have what is also known as, can develop body dysmorphic disorder. All right, so what that means, when they see themselves, say you see someone working out all the time, they see themselves in a mirror, they think, okay, I need to have bigger biceps. I need to have bigger shoulders. But when you're looking at them, they're almost getting to like the Arnold build, okay? They're still saying they need something more, not something more. That's where that body dysmorphic disorder comes in, is they see themselves and they have this perception that what they see and what's in reality are not the same. So that's where, that comes in as far as some of that's concerned. Now, in general, men are generally quieter about body image issues due to public shame. All right, so if a male says something, they're going to be ashamed about it. And again, leads to some of that body dysmorphic disorder in some respects. All right, a male body image is usually misunderstood as compared to women's body image. Reason being, we all have these little categories that we try to kind of put people in sometimes. Whether we realize that's being done or not, we're always kind of categorizing. Men should have this appearance, women should have this appearance, especially when it comes to media. So if they don't meet that, what's happening? Same thing that's happening in females' mind. They are not appreciative of what they have. Self-confidence goes down, self-esteem goes down. Instead, we see people in the fitness center working out of all different levels and abilities, men and women. What they're able to accomplish amazes me some days. All right, especially when I see people still coming in to this day, after having multiple joints replaced, still doing something. Someone that has a brain injury, still doing something. All right, so they're doing something to build up and feeling better about themselves and what needs to be done. How do we help someone without harming them? If it's possible, try and target the root cause of why the negative thoughts exist. Reason why I say if it's possible, because in some instances, there might be multiple roots there. Okay, so it might be this tree of negativity, and underground is all these roots. Which one do we target first in that respect? So then it's trying to figure out, how do we break this cycle? All right, understand the importance of nutrition and exercise and how both work together. All right, we always say, yes, exercise is great. Absolutely. However, we also need to have proper nutrition to give our body the fuel it needs, the energy it needs to keep moving forward. All right, so that way you get down into the metabolic systems, metabolic pathways, giving yourself the proper nutrients that the body needs, you're going to feel better about yourself as well, because now you're feeding the brain the proper minerals. You get into the macro, micronutrients, stuff like that. So you're getting your body what it needs at that point. Understand how genetics may play a role in how a person looks. Yes, I did say genetics in there, all right? Part of that is because how you look might be a direct reflection of how your mom or dad looks. So you can kind of blame your parents in some respects there, or your grandparents, all right? Because that's inherited. That's brought down to you. So there are some things you cannot change. You can't change what genetics has done. However, what we can control is what we do outside of that. All right, appreciate that. Be like, okay, you know what, my mom did this, or my dad did this, and he lived to be 85, 90 years old and was healthy the whole time. How do we keep going? Things along those lines. How do we develop a positive self-esteem with people? One of the things that I always try to do when I see people, I'm always, at least try to say hi, make small talk, conversation, smile at people. In some cases, I try to provide a compliment if I'm able to, if I have a moment to do that, if I'm not in my own little world. All right, so one of the things there is when you do stuff like that, it helps to build up their self-esteem a little bit. It makes them feel a little bit better. A little bit of that positivity can go a long way for people. Differentiate between myths and facts of information presented. All right, so understanding some things that you might see, is it true or is it not true? How do we know? There's a bunch of sources out there to look up and go from there. Understand that hunger is an important cue for the body function. All right, when we start to feel hungry, that's your body's way of saying, hey, I need something to keep going. All right, when you get hungry, you kind of get, other emotions start coming out. You're not thinking as clearly as you should. You get irrational at times until you start getting something in to calm all that. So by the time you reach that hunger, it's almost too late to, then you really have to make sure you're bringing something in. Because at that point in time, you're just looking for, okay, what can I eat? What can I eat? What can I have at this moment? I need to satisfy this hunger right now. All right, so as I say with little kids, satisfy that hunger monster. That way they can kind of keep going again. All right, adults are the same way. We get the hunger pains going through. We get irrational about what we're doing. We're not thinking properly. Allow yourself to have a meal. Allow yourself to have that snack. Have something when you're on the go, when you're walking down the hall to meet with somebody. Now, understanding the role of genetics in the body. All right, further research is needed to identify which genes are responsible for internalization of thinness. All right, so some people have a predisposition, a genetic predisposition, to thinking they need to be thinner and thinner and thinner. All right, there is a genetic component. It's just finding where exactly, as far as the whole genetic spectrum is concerned, all the genes in the body, which one is directly related to that. All right, also important to understand how to break a stigma that is associated with poor body image in relation to inherited traits. And the reason why I say that is obesity can be an inherited trait in some respects. There is a genetic component for being overweight, for the obesity component. It's there. They're finding where it's at. How do we break that stigma when we see someone walking down the hall or walking around, instead of coming to thought, like a kid will say, oh my goodness, look, and then they'll keep saying what's coming out of their mouth, no filter. That's creating a stigma. Makes the other person, what they hear, feel bad about it. Okay? So instead of something like that, we need to be a little more understanding that there are some things that may be out of that person's control. Maybe they are doing everything they can to help themselves. A negative body image in men and women may be related to a combination of biological factors, environmental factors, and genetics. And as I mentioned, that last one cannot be changed at all. In some respects, some of the environmental factors where you're at, it can't be changed immediately. It might take time to change it, okay? Body acceptance. So this was something that, trying to get people to understand, and especially in a medical profession. All right, as more and more publications like Self embrace body acceptance, it's time for people in the medical community, still clouded by bias, to also wake up to the reality that you can't tell anything about a person based upon their size. So I think this quote alone kind of summarizes everything that Joel and I have been talking about this whole month, between subjective, objective, things like that. I know when Joel's done the body composition talk, talking about the difference between body composition and BMI. And what is a BMI? Height and weight. You're just looking at the package as a whole. You're not looking at what's inside this package. So that's what medical professions do, is they just look at the package as a whole, thinking they know what everything's going on. In reality, the body is a huge puzzle. So trying to figure out what exactly is going on takes some diving into. And that's where kind of Joel and I enjoy kind of like, okay, let's take this apart, or let's take this apart. Or let's take a look at this part, or let's take a look over here. What can we do? Instead of just, oh, okay, too bad, so sad. You need to do this. Well, how do we do that? What tools can we give people to do that? Now, as far as acceptance is concerned, acceptance of self. The person has a clear perception of their own body and respects their body. All right, so someone that has a negative body image may not always respect themselves to the point where they may do some self-harm, cause self-harm. Anorexia, bulimia, to the point where some people will develop other issues there as far as, self-harm, resorting to certain medications, over-the-counter stuff, self-medicating. Do some people take it out on themselves? Do they harm themselves by cutting? Things like along those lines. Those are all can be directly related to some type of body image perception. Liberation of criticism. We're always hearing criticism about how we should be, how we're not this, how we're not that, how we should dress, how we should act over here, stuff like that. Everyone's always being criticized. Instead, value your own beauty and thoughts of yourselves over what others think of you. All right, the way I see it is that we're all part of this whole big thing evolving around, helping each other out, working with each other, building each other up. All right, make peace with yourself. Understand what you have and how to make positive changes for the better. All right, so understanding that, instead of doing a negative change, make a positive change. Okay, so today I'm going to try to get a little more sleep. Let's start with an extra half hour. How do I decompress a little bit sooner if I'm able to? Or I want to try to walk a little bit more. How am I able to do that? Instead of setting up barriers. All right, so valuing what you want and make that change for the better to make yourself feel a little bit better about yourself and accepting who you are and what you have. How to build body esteem and acceptance. Again, accept your body's genetic predisposition. So again, like I've said, that's something we cannot change at all. What you have genetic, what you've inherited, that's what you have. All right? Understand that all bodies change developmentally in ways that are simply not in your control through healthy means. All right? As we age, our bodies are constantly changing. Sometimes I don't like this or I don't like that. Well, understand, okay, when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, not the same as when you're in your teens and 20s. All right? The body's going to change. Metabolism changes. All right, especially if you have a family. That's going to change everything about it, what's going on. Okay? Never diet. Hunger is an internally regulated drive and demands to be satisfied. Okay? So as I mentioned before, when we get hungry, we need to find a way to quell that hunger. Because otherwise, what's going to happen? It's going to affect the heart rate. It's going to affect blood pressure. It's going to affect blood sugar levels. It's going to affect brain function. It can eventually affect metabolizing your muscles. All right, so if you keep that hunger going long enough, it's going to find the nutrients it needs in your body somewhere. So if you're someone that values who you what you have, it's going to go to the muscle first, because that's easily accessible versus the fats. So avoiding that from happening. Allow yourself to have a snack, fruits, veggies. If you're able to have nuts, by all means. Something that's going to satisfy that hunger for that time being until you're able to have a meal. So, some thoughts to think about. Body positive thoughts to remember. I know on your PowerPoint it's tiny print. I did give a copy of this to Lena, so she'll be putting this up. I'm guessing she puts it up on the wellness page. So it'll be on there as well. But change your mind, change your body. All right, so change your thought process is going to help change your body. Everything begins with a kind heart. Don't let your mind bully your body. Every body is a bikini body. You just got to put a bikini on it, as some people will say. Whether we like seeing some of that stuff or not, that's irrelevant. Build yourself up. Make yourself feel better. Happiness is not size specific. Remember that, please. Happiness is not size specific. I will not determine my self-worth based on my appearance. So some of these quotes, as you can understand, as you can see now, some of these quotes are, some basic quotes that you can say over and over on a regular basis. If you want, I can also send you this slide if you want, so that way you can have that. You can put the quotes up that help you if you need be. A fit, healthy body is the best fashion statement. So what I'm meaning there, as long as you're healthy for who you are, that's the best fashion statement you can ever have. Forget about what all these designers say, because they're not designing stuff for you. Only you can design stuff for you. All right, don't compare yourself to someone else's highlight reel. Just because this person has all this stuff going on, doesn't mean you need to have that. You can have other stuff going on. I am strong, I am beautiful, I am enough. I think that's an important one for everybody to remember. All right, some basic quotes to think about. And what I did is I pulled some quotes from, certain people. Abby Wambach, soccer player. I think there's so much emphasis on body image and results and outcome, but really what you should be after is to be healthy and to feel good about yourself. For someone who has had so much criticism in her life and coming up on top still and saying something like that, that's someone that is, all these people have been always criticized about something. Cheryl Hines, it's hard being a girl. There are a lot of body image issues that come up, and I think the best thing we can do for our kids is lead by example. Ellen DeGeneres, again, how to get a bikini body? Put a bikini on your body. Another one by Ellen, to me, beauty is about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about knowing and accepting who you are. So like I said, I was trying to find people that have faced immense pressure, immense criticism, and seeing that they're still appreciate who they are and what they have about themselves. If they can lead by that example, so can all of us. All right, and then I put in some of the references there for you to look at as well. Any questions on some of this? Like I said, this is just kind of in closing of, accepting what you have, who you are, how you can get yourself to be a better version of you. You're never going to be somebody else. You're only going to be you. That's it. All right, but how can we help you be you? All right, so if there's anything that, when we do something, if you like it, great. If not, let us know. All right, any questions? Okay, thank you guys.